Hey, what's going on, roleplayers? It's the Bard here, and welcome back to the corner. And we've got another amazing suggestion today. Do you have any greatsword hexblade builds for Siegfried or Nightmare from Soul Calibur? Well, I do have a build for you today. However, I don't want to use hexblade. I want to mix it up for a change. You could use the hexblade for this. However, I'm going to try and use some different classes and maybe come up with something that's just as good, if not better. So we're going to try a blend of Paladin and Barbarian. Check with your DM and see how stringent he wants to be on your oath rules. In many cases, the classes and the rules are only parts that you need to build the character that you really want. So explain this to your DM and say that you've got a very specific concept in mind. Hopefully your DM will realise it's more important that you're sticking to the ideals and the values of the oath, as opposed to which classes you choose to dabble in. Now, I used to main as Nightmare, so I know a fair amount about the character. For all it might appear to be, there are a number of options that Nightmare has that aren't really reflected in characters that usually wear heavy armor. So unfortunately we're going to have to make a concession there. However, the priority is that we get a functional character that works as close to the original as possible, as opposed to just the cosmetic effects of having a different kind of armor, which when in practical terms really boil down to just a couple of different points of armor class, as opposed to the skills and variations that the actual character can perform. Nightmare's brutal style has an excellent damage output, however it's a very wild and unpredictable thing, and it leaves him open and a number of his moves are very unsafe. Nightmare's slow and unsafe attacks can be complemented by his ability to use space and control movement on the battlefield. For all the rage that Nightmare has, this character actually requires patience and the knowledge of when to attack and when to take the advantage. In D&D terms, this character requires good spatial awareness and good management of your spacing in order to get into the position that's correct for him to attack, especially considering he's going to suffer a lot when dealing with multiple attackers. Nightmare might seem like the tanky knight, however he does rely heavily on opportunity. There's only really two possible fighting styles that you can adopt as part of your Paladin progression, and that's either defense or great weapon fighting. Defense is a very good style to have, even if it is only just +1 to AC. However, for this particular build, expect to be getting hit a lot. Everything's going to be having advantage against you pretty much all the time, so you're going to want to make sure that your damage output is as consistent as possible. Reckless attack is your biggest strength and your greatest weakness, so by getting all of that extra advantage against attackers, they're going to get advantage against you in return. This ability is a great reflection of Nightmare's powerful style. At the same time, it reflects the fact that his moves are slow and unsafe, and that creatures can punish him if he is unprepared for them. This character is most certainly a Paladin with the Oath of Conquest, while at the same time being reckless enough to be treated as either a frenzy or zealot barbarian. In fact, you could take almost any path you like for your barbarian abilities, because most of what defines the character is done through the paladin levels. Armor of Agathys is a great spell to cast before you start raging, because once you've cast it, it doesn't require any concentration, so it's not going to be interfered with by any of your rage abilities. When you rage, you're going to get resistance to slashing, piercing, bludgeoning. The resistance you get from rage protects your temporary hit points, and so therefore you're going to be able to use your retributive effect from Armor of Agathys more often against any creatures that attack you. More importantly, however, it's going to give you a buffer of hit points, which is going to help to mitigate some of the damage that you're taking. Considering the fact creatures are going to have advantage against you almost all of the time when you're using your reckless attack, you need to have something that's going to sponge up those hits. Spiritual Weapon is another great spell from the Oath of Conquest spell list, because again, once you've cast it, you don't have to concentrate on it, but you can take bonus actions to wield it. This is not concentration based, so again, you can do this while raging. This is an excellent spell for any of those characters who've decided to go with Zealot instead of going with Frenzy. Because you use your bonus action for the additional attack with Frenzy, you don't have a special ability that works in the same way in the Zealot tree. Instead, you get a bonus to some of your damage in your first attack. So by doing this, you get to use your bonus action for something else, in this case wielding your spiritual weapon. You don't really rely on spells, if at all, except for perhaps the first few that we've just gone over. A good use of your spell slots is your Divine Smite. Again, it doesn't interfere with the fact that you're raging, so because it's not an actual casting of a spell, and because it's not based on concentration, you can still use it whilst you're in the middle of a rage. Nightmare has a variety of attacks that can devastate an opponent, a powerful and purposeful attack bathed in volatile energy. These attacks can be devastating to any creature that they hit. Remember that Divine Smite can be activated when you hit a creature. Make sure you use your Divine Smite if you roll a natural 20. Even low level slots are a great source of extra damage because you're not going to break your stride when it comes to attacking. You're just going to be able to keep on the offensive with your basic melee attacks and add additional damage using your spell slots that you won't normally be able to use anyway because you'll be raging most of the time. Because of your reckless attack, you're very unlikely to need to use the Guided Strike Channel Divinity, so you can concentrate almost exclusively on your Conquering Presence. This is going to be one of your most important abilities, because any creature that's frightened will have disadvantage on attack rolls. This will help mitigate the advantage that it would normally get when you're using your reckless attack. But the best part of it is, it doesn't require any concentration and it's not a spell, so you can use it while raging as well. Your Conquering Presence isn't just helping you mitigate the advantage that creatures are getting against you, it's also contributing to your aura of conquest. Nightmare is a creature of terror. The more fear he can instill in his enemies, the deadlier he becomes. A weapon only achieves worth in the hands of a strong wielder, so we should explore what abilities our Nightmare character has. The first and most important feat that you really must have for this build is Great Weapon Master. The penalty to attack rolls and the bonus to damage wants to be used like it's going out of style, because you get advantage all the time because of your reckless attack. So make sure you take full advantage of it and use your Great Weapon Master to full effect. Also, by reducing a creature to 0 hit points, or every time you get a critical hit, you can spend a bonus action to get another attack. In this respect, it makes Zealot a very, very attractive choice for your Barbarian path. Sentinel continues to be an amazing feat for getting you free attacks against any creature that isn't attacking you. More importantly than that, if a creature does start attacking you, you've always got your Armor of Agathys to fall back on. Likewise, a creature might try to escape from you before your Aura of Conquest starts dealing damage to it. However, with Sentinel, even if it disengages from you, you still get an attack of opportunity against it, which will then reduce its speed down to 0. It's basically damned if they do and damned if they don't. Martial Adept is a feat that could be worthy of consideration. Abilities like Menacing Attack allow you to take full advantage of your Aura of Conquest. This would allow you to continue your assault without having to spend an action in order to invoke your Channel Divinity. Likewise, Parry could be an excellent ability to have under your belt. Armor of Agathys is triggered by getting hit, but when you take damage then, after the resistances, you will then have the option to use your parry, which could potentially reduce the number down to 0 damage, but you'd still get the retributive effect from your Armor of Agathys spell. Paladins get Wisdom and Charisma as their saving throws, so Resilient would give you a boost to Constitution as well as proficiency with that save, something that you would sorely crave. Not only does it give you the potential for more hit points, but it helps to round out your defenses against things like spells, poisons, and other harmful effects. Guys, your suggestions just keep getting better and better. Not only is this a powerful damage dealing character, but there's also a lot of tactics and strategy involved as well, which always makes for a lot more fun in my opinion. This is an iconic character which would make an amazing antagonist for any kind of role-playing adventure. I think it's one that definitely gets to be included, not necessarily as a player character, but definitely as someone who should be a recurring bad guy. What did you guys think of this Nightmare build? Is it absolutely the King of Terror or what? Like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time at the gaming table.